American Top 40.
Now on American Top 40, we're up to the superstar who more than 13 years ago made his concert debut, and the crowd laughed at him. Here's the story. This singer and songwriter was born in Minneapolis 28 years ago. In his early teens, he formed his first group with his cousin Charles Smith and his best friend Andre Simone. He and Andre played guitars, and Charles played the drums. They called themselves Grand Central, and every day they'd practice in the basement of Andre's mother's house. Finally, the day came when Grand Central were ready to face the public. The three boys, all 15 years old, signed up for a local battle of the bands. When they arrived on the scene, they met the competition. Groups with the latest high-tech instruments and equipment. And the boys? Well, they just had cheap little instruments and tiny crude amplifiers. The other competing musicians got a look at them, and they just laughed. They told the trio they're not even going to let you get on stage. And the contest committee were doubtful about letting the 15-year-olds play. But they finally said okay. Then, when the three boys walked out on stage, the entire audience broke out laughing. "Look at those amps, look at those guitars," they said. "They're just kids, they can't do anything." Well, those kids showed them. They played their hearts out, singing songs by all kinds of acts, from Jimi Hendrix to the Spinners to Grand Funk. And by the time it was over, the audience were on their feet screaming. Grand Central won the contest. First prize, $75. Well, here we are, 13 years later. The lead singer of that band, Grand Central, isn't playing the Joker. He's the Prince, and he's definitely had the last laugh. His 14th Top 40 hit is at number 35 this week. Here he is with Sign of the Times. Prince. Prince's Sign of the Times. And that sign pointed to number 3 on the chart. That's where it peaked. Now it falls from 17 to 35 as the countdown continues.
The hits from coast to coast.
This is Casey Kasem on American Top 40. Now we're up to a song produced by one of the decade's hottest producers who dared to compete with one of the decade's hottest pop stars in a basketball game. The song is Whitney Houston's recent #1 hit, I Want to Dance with Somebody. And the great producer that we're talking about is Narda Michael Walden. About 5 years ago, Narda was working at a recording studio in Hollywood. One afternoon, a messenger knocks on the door and gives him a note. It was from the producer in the next studio down the hall, Prince. Prince was working on an album for the band The Time, and he wanted to know if Narda would just drop on by if he got a chance. The two had met before, but only briefly. So Narda took a break and walked across the hall. As soon as Narda walks through the door, Prince says, "Come on." He leads him outside to a back lot, a basketball court. Morris Day of The Time was tagging along. Out of nowhere, Prince whips out a basketball and names his game, 21. That's where two or more can play, and the first guy to score 21 baskets wins. Now, get this picture. Here's the lineup. Narda's 5'10", Morris is 5'8", and Prince stands 5'3", maybe. But he's wearing 6-inch spike heels. Who are you putting your money on? Well, the game starts, and here's how Narda describes what went down. "I was just standing there amazed. Prince was fantastic. He was dribbling between his legs. He'd pull up from 16 feet, swish. 10 feet, swish. He was an incredible athlete. And he was doing it all in 6-inch heels, his hair falling in his eyes." End of quote. The final score was Prince 21, Morris Day 16, Narda Michael Walden 13. Narda got smoked by some all-star talent. As the countdown rocks on.
The hits from coast to coast.
From Hollywood, California, this is American Top 40, and I'm Casey Kasem. Now we're up to the superstar whose obsession with music dates back to the loneliness that he felt when his parents were divorced. Here's his story. His father was a band leader in Minneapolis, and his mother was a singer with the band. But when he was 7 years old, his mom and dad broke up, and the boy spent a lot of time alone at home while his mother was at work. The only friend he had was his father's piano, which remained in the living room after the divorce. He says, quote, "My father would never let anyone play it before that. But with him gone, I taught myself to play songs from television shows like Batman and The Man from U.N.C.L.E. I was 7 years old, and I learned to play them all by ear. In the 4th and 5th grades, I began to play in school talent shows and was playing original songs by the time I was 10. End of quote. And that's how it began for Prince Rogers Nelson. And from there, Prince went on to play every instrument in the rock arsenal, from saxophone and drums to bass guitar and synthesizer. Today, on his current album, Sign of the Times, Prince plays almost all the instruments and sings all the songs. He produced it, too. And the title song from that album is at number 17 this week. Here's Prince, Sign of the Times. Prince with a song that he took all the way to number 3 at number 17 this week, Sign of the Times.
Casey's Coast to Coast.